So I found this postcard on eBay. It says the O&D Railroad Bridge, Cannon Falls. I don't know what the O&D Railroad Bridge is. So I had to do a little investigation. I wanted to know when it was built. So I have to go all the way back to the beginning. Now when I turn the postcard over, it's postmarked 1908. And somebody put a sticker on the back that says First Railroad Bridge. 100%. I'm not sure what that means unless he's thinking 100% he's sure it's the first railroad bridge. So I had to go and see what I could find on this bridge. So how's everybody doing today? I hope well and healthy. It's probably just past midwinter here in Minnesota. It's still a lot of snow on the ground. We had some cold days, now we're having some warm days. It's actually raining out there now, and then it's supposed to get cold again. Anyway, I'm tracking down that postcard. I want to see when it was built, who it was built, and you know what? I have to go all the way back to the beginning. That's right, we're going to go back to 1882, and we're going to follow that from June through December. And we're going to see what was going on with that bridge, who built it, and all the things that happened along the way. So come on in and have a seat, and we'll get started. The first thing I'm going to show you is a map of Cannon Falls back in 1894. Now I don't have any maps that go back beyond 1894. So this is what it looked like in 1894. And you'll notice that the Minneapolis and St. Louis is actually going down the rail tracks that we think of today as the Chicago Great Western. So we're going to go back even before that to when the Minnesota Central was in Cannon Falls. So I'll put up those maps. You get acquainted to what it looks like today, what it looked like yesterday, and we'll take it from there. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories as we go. There's actually two railroad wars that happened, one in Northfield and one in Red Wing, while this line's being built. So I wanted to tell you those, and I'll show you some articles that were in the Cannon Falls Beacon. But I have to tell you that the microfilm reader that I was using wasn't really up to today's standards, you might say. It's an older one. It only reads. You can't make copies with it. You can't put in a word and have it search for a specific word. You have to go through the microfilm page by page by page by page. And then the only way I could share this is if I took pictures. So when you look at these microfilms, when I share them, you might see a section here that tells a story, and then the next one I put up actually starts in the middle of that one because I wasn't sure where to hold my camera. So you'll have to make it through those as you read them when I put them up. So let me show you what that machine looked like, and then I'll get started. So it's June, 1882. And the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul, and the Minnesota Central are coming from Waterville. That's on the other side of Northfield, and they're going to put in a line from Waterville to Red Wing. And they're paralleling the railroads as they come up. And they're almost starting to get into a race. And they're coming into Northfield. And there's a section of dugout land that the railroad's going to go through. And the Minnesota Central starts making a deal with Northfield, with the town fathers, so they can get the rights to go through that cutout. And Milwaukee Road finds out about it, and they're having a fit because they went to the county to make the same deal. So now we've got both of them wanting to use that same cut. And it ticked off the Milwaukee so bad that they started buying whole farms to get through Northfield. And that didn't go over well with the Minnesota Central because they wanted to be the only line going through there. And when you look at the newspaper articles, you'll find that there was some not so good feelings about the Milwaukee Road coming through. They wanted to see the Minnesota Central. So that's the first railroad war that they had coming through Northfield, and I think that is just so cool. I'll put up those clips of the newspaper that I have there, and then you just stop the video if you want and read them. Anytime I put up a clip, you just stop and read them. So now we're through Northfield and we're coming into Cannon Falls. And it's the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul that gets to Cannon Falls first. So what do? They got to celebrate, and they have this excursion. And it leaves Northfield and goes to Cannon Falls. And they have a band, and they get to Cannon Falls. Oh, it's like a party. I mean, it's a big thing. The railroad just came through Cannon Falls. This is awesome. This is such a big party. So they had that excursion. They invited 1,000 people to come on the first train from Northfield to Cannon Falls. That's just awesome history. Can you imagine that? So what happens? Like a couple days later, here comes the Minnesota Central into town. Yep. So the last one I wanted to share with you is the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul, and the Minnesota Central are just getting in the Red Wing now. They're in the Red Wing, and when I read this article, I'm thinking they're in town now. They've made it into town. Now they're getting next to each other, and there's some kind of a switch that's involved there that maybe both of them are going over. I don't know. And the Milwaukee Road sends their crew out there to start removing the dirt from the Minnesota Central. And the Minnesota Central crew gets out there and they start putting, they're making the rail bed, you know, they're putting up dirt, and as fast as they put up the dirt, the Milwaukee Road crew is taking it out and throwing it in a car and getting it out of there. And that's the railroad war they're talking about there. People came out from town and they started watching this. It must have looked like the Keystone Cops, you know. One crew digging, they're putting dirt in there, and the other crew right behind them taking the dirt out. I thought that was pretty funny, and I'll put that up too. And you know what? It makes me wonder, because I wonder if William Colville was out there watching that, because remember in 1871 he had a railroad war. So I just think that's so cool. Yep, I'll put that up now so you can see that. So we're going to go out to Cannon Falls now, so get your jacket, hop in the truck. We'll head out there. I'll show you where that bridge was, and there's a bonus I'll show you at the end. I'm heading down that direction now. I'm heading right down in here. In fact, you can see where that bridge went across the river over there, but I'll give you a better look. So let me get down there. So that's the Cannon Falls Veterans Memorial. Years back, that was where the swimming pool was for the village. And this, I believe, is called 20, Route 20. This is Old 52 that came through Cannon Falls. And that's the Cannon River, a few ducks. And I'm panning around this direction, and this is where the bridge started from that side and spanned this section of the Cannon River this way here. And you can see what I call a berm that was made for the railroad. You can see how high up that was. And then that spanned this area. And there's some remnants of it down in here. Right down in here. And I'll walk down the street away so I can show you a better look at what this side looks like. But one of the pictures I wanted to line up is my postcard. And I think that my postcard was probably lined up right about here. So now there's a couple more photos I wanted to line up with this. And one of them shows that this berm that you see here, it shows that as an old trestle, and it just wound all the way around that way. But I'm gonna have to find a better place to take a photo. So it looked like almost an aerial shot, but you know, back in the 1880s, there was no aerial shots. So I'm thinking there's a yellow building up there. I'm gonna drive around up there and see if I can knock on a door and take that picture from over there. And then I'll line it up with this area that's down in here so that you can see this. So I drove around up on the hill, and I'm at that yellow house I tried to point out to you that was up on that hill. I'm in the backyard, and yes, I asked for permission. And right about where you see this tree, right back over here, you can see the knoll up there just barely. And that is where that bridge crossed the river. Now I'm going to show you a picture that goes way back, and it's probably a pretty rare photo. This is one I got from the Goodhue County Historical Society. So I'm going to line myself up, and I'm thinking right about here is where they took that picture from. All right, I'm standing at Riverside Park, and where I was over in that direction. That's where that bridge was. And I'm going to put up one more photo. I'm going to walk down over by this bridge and put up a photo that I think was from, oh, maybe the early 50s. All right, so this is where I think this photo was taken. So this gives you an idea of the bridge on the right that would have been going over the Cannon River. And then across this bridge for the highway, you'll see another bridge where it crosses the highway, all in this picture. And there's a standard gas station on the left just as you cross this bridge. So this is really a cool picture. Oh, I'm gonna say it was taken from right here. Okay, in the process of hunting down all this history, I found a couple of cool pictures. This would be for our Chicago Great Western and our Chicago Northwestern friends. Yeah, so I'm back at what's known as the Chicago Great Western Depot on the Cannon Valley Trail in Cannon Falls. So this is a bonus for all you guys. All right, I'm going to show you. You remember I made a video years ago of that old coal storage building and the depot. So I just wanted to make a stop so I could show you. I'm going to line myself up with this picture, and this is the picture of how the depot was decorated when the memorial for the memorial of Colonel Colville in Cannon Falls. This is how the depot looked right here. And then I'll show you a couple other photos. Well, I don't know about you, but I like that stuff. Did you see how long that trestle was? That went way out there. So that trestle had to go over the highway too at one time. It just had to. I sure like that stuff. Isn't that fun? I love the stories too. You know, stories is what brings history to life. It really does. Pictures can tell a lot, but the stories behind it, that's awesome. Anyway, I'm glad you could be with me. Stay safe. Stay warm. Catch you on my next one. God bless you all. Catch you later.